Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Becomes Forgotten Goddess? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. After the final battle between Naruto and Sasuke, Sakura arrived with Kakashi and began to treat them. As they prepared to deactivate the infinite Tsukuyomi, Naruto collapsed, seized by a dark figure. Sakura, Kakashi, and Sasuke all cried out Naruto's name. Naruto weakly insisted that he was fine while coughing and spitting blood. Sakura immediately told them that he was clearly not fine and used her medical ninjutsu to diagnose him. In shock, Sakura began to cry and asked how this could have happened. Sasuke demanded to know what was wrong. Sakura, still in tears, explained that Naruto had been poisoned throughout his body. Kakashi asked if she could remove the poison. Sakura replied that it was impossible, she could not remove it. Sasuke realized what that meant. Sakura confirmed that Naruto would die and there was nothing they could do. Sasuke and Kakashi could not hold back their grief and began to cry. Naruto apologized and said it was his fault for getting distracted. When Sakura asked what he meant, Naruto explained that when he had been distracted, a black zetsu had launched needles and one had struck him. Sasuke muttered an angry insult under his breath. Naruto laughed weakly and asked not to be called that. Sasuke insisted that Naruto could not die. Naruto apologized again for his carelessness and said that this would be his farewell. Sakura told Naruto she was sorry. Naruto asked them to take care of Konoha for him. Kakashi promised they would. Naruto reflected that although his childhood had not been happy, meeting them had made his life better, and he asked them to look after everyone. He apologized to his grandmother for not being able to fulfill his promise to become Hokage. Sasuke, overcome with emotion, hugged Naruto and confessed that he loved him, saying that was why he had returned to the village. Naruto, crying, returned the sentiment and said that love was the reason he had searched for Sasuke and never given up. The dark figure approached Naruto and pressed a tender farewell against him. Naruto responded in kind. When they separated, Naruto's body was no longer with them. He had left that world. Sakura screamed. Kakashi enveloped Sakura in his arms, trying to comfort her, while the dark figure lifted Naruto's body and carried it toward the former battlefield. In a dark place, Naruto lay unconscious. Beside him was Kurama, the Nine Tails. Kurama wondered if this was the end. The Rikudo Sannin appeared and told Kurama that it would not be the end. Kurama recognized the Rikudo and asked what he was doing there. The Rikudo explained that he had come to give Naruto a gift for saving the ninja world from his mother. Kurama asked what the Rikudo meant. The Rikudo said that Naruto would be brought back to life. Kurama questioned how. The Rikudo explained that he would give Naruto a new body with the same features but without his memories. Kurama was surprised, but the Rikudo told him that he would help. The Rikudo said Kurama would place part of his chakra inside Naruto, but warned of a problem. Sasuke Uchiha had seized control of the villages and become the emperor of the shinobi lands, with Sakura Haruno at his side as his right hand, and had imprisoned those who opposed him. The Rikudo added that Sasuke had the tailed beasts under his control and had killed most of the Kage, sparing only the Hokage and the Kazekage because of Naruto. Kurama reacted to the news with anger. The Rikudo asked Kurama to care for Naruto now to be called Naruko and promised to return. Kurama considered giving Naruko a female body as a joke and laughed, but the Rikudo advised him not to tell Naruko about her former life to avoid an existential crisis. It would be better for her to remember naturally. Kurama agreed to follow the plan. A white light enveloped them. Kurama and the newly formed Naruko appeared in a place full of flowers before an abandoned cottage. A beautiful blonde girl with 3 fox marks on each cheek slowly opened bright blue eyes. Kurama, surprised, asked if that was Naruko. Naruko screamed at the sight of a talking animal. Kurama, annoyed, scolded her for calling him an animal. Naruko demanded to know what Kurama was. Kurama sighed and introduced himself as Kurama, the Nine Tails. Naruko did not understand what that meant, so Kurama explained in simple terms that there were 9 powerful beasts in the world, each with a certain number of tails, and that humans called Jinchuriki were people who had these beasts sealed inside them. He told Naruko that she was his Jinchuriki. Naruko was excited and offered to help rescue Kurama's imprisoned brothers. Kurama asked if she was sure, and Naruko confidently affirmed that she would after training. Naruko adopted a playful nickname for Kurama, calling him Kurajin. Kurama found it irritating but accepted it and invited her to begin her training. Naruko eagerly agreed. Naruko asked where they were going. Kurama indicated the cabin and explained that they needed to repair it. Naruko questioned how Kurama could do that since he was a fox. In response, Kurama transformed into a tall man with red hair and fox-like markings on his cheeks, appearing strikingly handsome. Kurama then asked what she had been saying, and Naruko replied that it was nothing. 3 months later, the cabin was finished. A blonde girl of about 16 trained alongside a red-headed man of about 20. They were Kurama and Naruko, and they had become friends with the people of a nearby village. Kurama told Naruko that was all for the day and that he would go to the village for a while. Naruko agreed. After Kurama left, Naruko sat on the grass near some flowers. An elderly voice greeted her, and Naruko recognized the village elder, Chiyo. Flashback. Kurama told Naruko he would go to the nearby village, and she asked to come along. Kurama agreed. When they arrived, people watched them because Naruko resembled the hero of the ninja world and also because of their appearance and charm. Naruko asked why everyone was staring. Kurama suggested it might be because they were new. He said he needed to buy materials to finish the cabin and gave Naruko some money, asking her to buy ninja training equipment to speed up their training. Naruko happily went to the shop to buy what she needed. On her way back, she helped an elderly woman who had fallen. Naruko asked if the woman was all right, and the woman thanked her. The woman introduced herself as Chiyo, asked Naruko her name, and learned that Naruko was new in the area. Naruko excused herself and promised to see Chiyo again. End of flashback. Chiyo remarked that the flowers were beautiful and asked about Kurama. Naruko explained he had gone to the village for supplies. Chiyo said that since Naruko and Kurama had arrived, the village had been much brighter. Naruko was pleased to hear that everyone liked them. Chiyo said they had previously suffered under a cruel emperor. She then told Naruko that she reminded her of someone, the great hero of the ninja world. Naruko asked who that was, since Kurama had never told her anything. Chiyo explained that Naruto Uzumaki had saved many people from Madara Uchiha and the Rabbit Goddess and had ended the Fourth Great Ninja War, but that he had died. Chiyo added that it was said Sasuke Uchiha had killed him and that Sasuke's arrogance made life difficult for many people, though the small villages had been spared from worse. Chiyo complimented Naruko's appearance and then added, with a smile, that her grandson Takechi had feelings for Naruko and often spoke about her, though he had not confessed. Naruko laughed and said she did not mind. Chiyo went off to prepare dinner, and Naruko resumed practicing the taijutsu Kurama had taught her. Kurama returned, told Naruko she was improving, and presented her with a gift for her progress. Naruko thanked him warmly. They went inside, shared the meal Naruko had prepared, and Naruko, curious, asked Kurama if he had known Naruto Uzumaki. At that name, Kurama nearly choked on his food. He demanded to know who had mentioned that name, and when Naruko said Chiyo had, Kurama reacted with sudden anger and refused to discuss it, ordering her not to ask again. Naruko protested that he was behaving like an idiot and left in tears. Kurama sighed and was left to his thoughts. Naruko retreated to her room, tossed a training kunai at a target in the wall, and eventually fell asleep, troubled by her questions and memories. She had a fragmentary dream filled with flashes of confrontation and emotion, then woke with a vague feeling she could not place. The next morning, Naruko prepared breakfast and Kurama apologized for raising his voice the previous night. He told Naruko he would teach her a jutsu that day. Naruko brightened at the prospect. Kurama explained that the technique was called the Rasengan and that, although he had never performed it, he had seen the training and had bought supplies for them to practice. They ate quickly, then went outside where Kurama handed Naruko a water balloon and explained the first stage of training. Before he could finish explaining, Naruko instinctively burst the balloon. Kurama was surprised and wondered if fragments of her past life were surfacing as sudden impulses. He then gave her a rubber ball for the next stage. Naruko attempted it and initially failed, and Kurama sat down beneath a tree to rest. Suddenly, the sound of something breaking signaled that Naruko had succeeded. Kurama acknowledged her progress and announced they would move on to the final stage. Naruko agreed enthusiastically, calling him teacher, and Kurama looked surprised at her confidence. Kurama asked what she had said. Naruko apologized to Kurama, admitting she had spoken without thinking. Kurama fell silent. Naruko tried to change the subject, asking how he had discovered the other stage. Kurama began to answer but stopped when he realized the blonde was crying without noticing. Kurama, concerned, asked Naruko if she was all right. Naruko said she was and asked why he asked. Kurama asked why she was crying. Naruko touched her cheek and confirmed the tears were real. She did not know the reason, only that a terrible sadness welled up inside her after speaking that nickname. Naruko then broke down and collapsed into sobs. Kurama embraced her and urged her to calm down. Naruko pleaded, asking why she felt so awful. Kurama thought the reaction might be tied to the memory of the Toad Sage's death, and he reassured her that everything would be all right. They stayed like that for a while until Naruko fainted from exhaustion, and Kurama carried her to bed. Kurama sighed, reflecting that he had never expected her to remember things in that way. The next morning Naruko woke to find Kurama reclined on the sofa with his eyes closed. Naruko greeted him, and Kurama opened his eyes, noting that she was awake. Naruko asked what had happened, and Kurama explained that she had fainted. He then asked if she wanted to continue training, and Naruko eagerly agreed. Kurama laughed, remarking that she had not changed at all. Naruko asked what he meant, and he dismissed it. They went outside to resume training. Kurama tapped Naruko's forehead, and images of the third step of the Rasengan technique suddenly came to her mind. Kurama said that was easier to explain, and Naruko was astonished. He told her to begin. Naruko asked why he had not taught her this earlier, and Kurama told her simply to go train. This stage proved more difficult. 2 weeks passed and she still could not stabilize the chakra ball. It kept dispersing. Frustrated, Naruko declared she could not do it. Kurama advised her not to despair. Naruko asked if anyone else had succeeded. Kurama confirmed they had and named Minato Namikaze, Jiraiya the Toad Sage, Konohamaru Sarutobi, and Naruto Uzumaki. Naruko reacted with surprise and excitement at learning she could master a hero's technique. Kurama chuckled but gave no further explanation. The names filled Naruko with nostalgia, and Kurama urged her to stop getting distracted and to learn the jutsu. Naruko pouted at his tone and then concentrated intently on the small ball of chakra in her hand while Kurama watched attentively in his human form. She thought about wanting to help people and about being like Naruto Uzumaki so she could protect everyone from Sasuke Uchiha. After continued effort, Kurama announced that she had done it. The sphere did not dissipate. Naruko jumped for joy, and Kurama teased that she looked like a child. When she asked what to do next, Kurama instructed her to test the Rasengan on a nearby tree. Naruko followed his instructions. When the Rasengan struck the tree, it shattered in a burst of energy, portrayed like an intense, animated impact rather than anything graphic. Naruko hugged Kurama around the neck in celebration. Kurama told her not to do that, and she apologized sheepishly. Kurama thought she was impressive, already showing signs of sage mode, perhaps with some influence from the old Rikudo. Elsewhere, a dark-haired figure stood at a distance, watching the faces carved into the Hokage monument. With a heavy sigh, Sakura pleaded with Sasuke, noting that 1.5 years had passed. Sasuke responded that it did not change how he felt. He could not forget. Sakura urged him to move forward with the responsibilities of the Uchiha clan. When Sasuke asked what she meant, Sakura blushed and, quietly and with emotion, offered to help him continue the Uchiha line. Sasuke told Sakura that he could not have children with someone he did not love. Sakura began to cry and asked, anguished, whether things would have been different if Naruto had not died. Sasuke, furious and unable to accept the suggestion, snapped at her to be quiet. I would have stayed with him even if it meant the extinction of my clan, Sakura thought, voice full of anguish. Sakura, surprised, announced that she would go see the prisoners. Sasuke gave a brief affirmative. Sakura left. After a while, a pink-haired woman walked through the prison feeling discouraged. She stopped beside a group of familiar young people who reacted with anger at her presence. Ino angrily demanded what Sakura was doing there, using a harsh nickname. Shikamaru asked whether the Uchiha had sent her. Sakura asked where Kiba was. Tenten asserted that Kiba would not allow himself to be healed by someone she called a traitor. Sakura tried to explain that she had acted for a reason. Hinata said they already knew that Sakura had done it for Sasuke. Sakura fell silent. Lee accused her of betraying them for an unrequited love. Sakura apologized. Hinata, crying, insisted that a single apology would not be enough because Sasuke had killed Naruto. The accusation drew the attention of everyone nearby. Some looked at Sakura with hatred, while others grew sad remembering that Naruto was gone. Sakura wept and insisted they did not know the whole truth. Ino demanded that Sakura stop lying. Everyone already knew what they believed had happened. Sakura said that Sasuke was also deeply frustrated by Naruto's loss. Hinata replied that he would not be so distraught if he had not been responsible for Naruto's death. Shikamaru raised his voice sharply and ordered them to stop. His outburst calmed the others. He pointed out that arguing over Naruto's death served no purpose and that much time had already passed. Choji agreed. Shino informed Sakura that Kiba was being treated by Tsunade. Sakura protested that it was forbidden for a prisoner to be treated by another prisoner. Tenten suggested it was better for Tsunade to treat him than for Sakura to do it. Sakura sighed and left. Hinata lamented that if only Naruto and Neji were there. Everyone fell silent, sorrowful at the thought of those two, until Kiba arrived suddenly with Akamaru. Kiba asked how everyone was. Hinata asked if he was feeling better. Kiba confirmed that he had recovered thanks to Tsunade. Shikamaru scolded him for fighting a guard. Kiba asked what had happened. Ino said that Sakura had come to heal him. Choji remarked that Kiba had been lucky. Kiba asked whether anyone had heard from Kurenai and Mirai. Shino replied that they were fine and not imprisoned. Ino noted that they were fortunate not to be locked up. Tenten added that they were being watched by Umbu. Kiba suggested that they should plan an escape. Shino warned that it was impossible. Hinata recalled that Lee had already tried and they had not been able to see him for months. Lee described how horrible it had been to be alone for so long with almost no food. At that moment an albino with a mask and a man with a mushroom-shaped haircut arrived. Choji recognized Kakashi, and Lee greeted Guy enthusiastically. Ino asked Kakashi how he had been. Kakashi, exhausted, explained that he had been sent on many missions. Guy protested that it was unfair. Tenten reminded Kakashi that he was not in condition since the war. Ino asked why he was being sent on missions if he was also a prisoner. Kakashi answered that it was because of a rumor circulating through the villages. Kiba asked what the rumor was, and Guy observed that, being in prison, they likely had not heard it. Tenten asked for details. Kakashi said the rumor claimed that in a small, unknown village lived a red-haired man and a blonde girl who bore a strong resemblance to Naruto. Everyone reacted with surprise. Hinata questioned whether the girl really resembled Naruto. Kakashi added that a few believed she could be his sister or a relative, but he did not think so. Shikamaru noted how odd it was that no one had known about her before. Kakashi declared that his mission was to find her and bring her back, and that if she refused he had orders to bring her in nearly at the brink of death. Ino demanded to know why. Kakashi said that was Sasuke's order, and that reports said the girl's personality was very similar to Naruto's. Kiba found it suspicious that someone could resemble Naruto physically and psychologically, but argued that it was not a reason to treat her that way. Kakashi admitted he knew, but said there was nothing they could do. 6 months later, in a different place, a blonde girl and a red-haired young man sparred hand-to-hand, and the girl clearly had the advantage. Kurama urged her to attack with ninjutsu. The blonde launched a fire-style technique called Dragon Fire. The red-haired opponent responded with a water-style technique to counter the flames. Kurama chided her playfully, and the girl laughed and apologized. Kurama thought that she was improving. He remembered that even Naruto had struggled with some of these moves. The girl reflected that in 6 months she had learned several fire and water techniques, and had managed to master the Rasengan and the Rasen Shuriken, the latter having required great effort. When Kurama suggested they finish for the day, the girl pouted and said she wanted to fight more. Kurama promised another time and asked how many shadow clones she could make. She performed a multiple shadow clone technique, producing 200 clones in a swirl of smoke. Kurama acknowledged that she had become very strong. The girl wanted to go after Kurama's brothers, but he said not yet, she still needed more practice. He added that there was something else he had to teach her that would make her much stronger. He called it Kurama mode. The girl asked why it bore his name. Kurama explained that it was because it used his chakra, and that it worked when he was inside her. She did not understand, and he clarified that while tailed beasts were normally sealed inside their Jinchuriki, he was not fully inside her. He said that part of his chakra was sealed within her, which would make the process easier, and instructed her to form the tiger seal. She obeyed. Kurama asked her to place her hand on him and connect her chakra with his, explaining that this sort of connection only worked between a Jinchuriki and a tailed beast. The blue-eyed girl followed his instructions, absorbing his chakra until his visible presence vanished completely. Inside her mind, Kurama praised her for succeeding quickly and called her an affectionate nickname. The girl, surprised, asked whether it really was him. Kurama pointed out that she had never seen him in that form before, only as a small fox or as a human image. The girl marveled at how large he appeared. Kurama was surprised. Naruko apologized, saying it had slipped out with a nervous laugh. Kurama reminded her that this was no time for distractions. She was in the middle of training. Naruko apologized again and addressed him affectionately. Kurama instructed her to focus his chakra. Naruko acknowledged and concentrated. Outside of Naruko's mind, it was clear she was succeeding. Her skin and clothes began to glow with a pale yellow light, but she suddenly fainted, which caused Kurama to emerge from her in his fox form. Kurama called Naruko's name in alarm. Receiving no response, he transformed back into a human, carried her back to the house, and laid her on the bed, discovering she had a high fever. Kurama scolded her for not telling him she felt ill. Naruko apologized. Kurama said he would go to the village for medicine and that she would feel better soon thanks to his chakra. Then he left. Naruko agreed. The blonde fell asleep. When she woke and realized it was night and Kurama still had not returned, she went out to look for him. As she stepped outside, she felt as if someone was watching her from the trees. Naruko asked fearfully who was there. A voice answered that the speaker had finally found her. Naruko demanded that the person show themselves. An albino man emerged from the trees with half his face covered and an annoyed expression. The stranger asked who she was. Naruko insisted that she should be the one asking him. The stranger noted that she even used a certain speech tic. Naruko said she did not understand what he meant. The stranger demanded again who she was. Naruko hesitated. The stranger asked why she looked so much like Naruto and why she imitated him. Naruko insisted she had no idea what he meant and that she was simply herself. The stranger said that even if she told the truth, he had orders to take her before the Hokage. Naruko asked his name. He identified himself as Kakashi Hatake. Naruko addressed Kakashi respectfully and said she did not want trouble and that she would not go with him. Kakashi thought that she resembled one of Naruto's well-known transformations, and that the only notable difference was that she seemed more polite. Naruko pleaded for him to leave. She did not want to hurt anyone. Kakashi apologized but explained that he had orders and, for his part, he would let her go if he could. He added that he was a prisoner. Naruko demanded to know why he was a prisoner. Kakashi answered that he had opposed Sasuke, his former student. Naruko grew angry and could not believe that Sasuke would imprison former acquaintances. Kakashi observed to himself that she behaved as if she knew Sasuke. Naruko called out to Kakashi with determination and declared that they would save everyone and defeat Sasuke Uchiha so that everyone could be free. At that moment Kurama returned. Naruko welcomed Kurama. Kakashi was surprised to see him. Kurama whispered to Kakashi that the situation was bad. Kakashi asked what they had been talking about and who they really were. Kurama sighed and said it was time. Naruko asked if he meant what she suspected. Kurama confirmed and told her to go prepare while he spoke with Kakashi. Naruko asked if they knew each other. Kurama answered that they did, in a way. Naruko left to prepare. Kakashi asked Kurama seriously if he was the Nine Tails. Kurama confirmed that he was. Kakashi, shocked, realized then who Naruko must be. Kurama explained that the Sage of the Six Paths had intervened and given Naruto a chance, but that this version of Naruko did not remember her past, she only recalled fragments slowly. Kurama warned that telling her everything about her past all at once would destroy her emotionally. Kakashi reacted with disbelief. Kurama said that everything had a price, even when receiving help from someone very powerful. Kakashi listened and understood. Kurama added that he had trained her for a long time and that she was now even stronger than Naruto himself. Kakashi noted that it seemed Naruto and Sasuke were destined to clash. Kurama asked Kakashi if he would help them enter the village. Kakashi agreed to be their ally. Kurama acknowledged his cooperation. Naruko returned just then. Kakashi embraced her unexpectedly. The hug left her confused as she felt his tears. Kakashi apologized, saying he had promised to protect them all but had failed. Naruko, concerned, asked what he meant. He pulled away and said it was nothing, urging them to move quickly. Naruko, excited, asked if he would really help. Kakashi confirmed that he would help Naruko and that he was not on Sasuke's side. They were allies now. Naruko responded with joy. Kurama said it was time to go. Naruko protested that she had to say goodbye to grandmother Chiyo. Kurama said there was no time. Chiyo already knew, and she had given Naruko something to take with her. A red-haired man handed the blonde a hand-knitted red scarf. Naruko thought of grandmother Chiyo as she put on the scarf and affirmed she was ready. On the way to Konoha, Naruko asked Kakashi many questions. Kakashi told her about how things had been before, since she had no memories despite being 16. Naruko asked why Sasuke had become the way he was and why he was considered an enemy. Kakashi explained that it stemmed from the death of a friend. Many believed Sasuke had killed that friend, but that was not the case. Sasuke had allowed people to believe it to intimidate entire villages. Naruko listened and said she understood. Kakashi added that Sasuke's best friend had once pulled him out of darkness, but with that friend's death he returned to it. Naruko asked who that best friend had been. Kakashi named Naruto, the top-ranked ninja, and referred to him as someone who had once been close enough to pull Sasuke back. Naruko reacted in surprise. Why did they call him that? Kakashi asked whether Kurama had not already told her. Naruko pouted, thinking that the fox never shared anything about himself, that he had a bad temper and loved to sleep. Kurama hummed in response. Kakashi chuckled and recalled that Naruto had once been reckless, always claiming he would become Hokage, joking around the village and proving to be a great friend and student. Naruko smiled. A few days passed and they finally arrived in Konoha. It matched Kurama's description, though its atmosphere felt intimidating. They wore black cloaks to remain unnoticed. Kurama reported that they had entered without problems. An ANBU demanded identification. Naruko thought the situation was becoming awkward. Kakashi explained that they were on a mission by the Hokage's orders. When asked for names, Kakashi refused, saying they had been ordered not to reveal identities during the mission. The ANBU insisted that the Hokage would never have given such an order. Naruko used a diversion technique that distracted the ANBU and allowed them to gain the upper hand. Kurama asked when she had learned that technique, and Naruko said it was a secret. Kakashi thought that she was still the same. The three of them changed into ANBU attire, storing their usual clothes in a scroll. Naruko kept a fox mask in her scarf, Kurama wore a slightly different fox mask, and Kakashi wore the same mask he used when he had been ANBU. Naruko complimented their appearance, but Kurama warned that it was not the time, sensing that Matatabi's chakra was weak. Kakashi urged them to hurry. From the area where Kurama perceived the chakra, a huge cave could be seen at the far end of Konoha's prison. Many chakra signatures and several tailed beasts could be felt within. Kurama confirmed this was the place. Naruko moved to enter, but Kurama and Kakashi called for her to wait. A swift paralyzing dart flew toward Naruko, but Kurama intercepted it. The red-haired fox spirit had been dozing and momentarily transformed into a small fox. The blue-eyed host gathered him and moved beside Kakashi. Kakashi insisted they had to leave. ANBU closed in and demanded identification, but Kakashi deployed a tactical smoke device that forced the ANBU to retreat, giving them a chance to escape. An ANBU warned that the Hokage should be informed immediately. Later, Naruko sat on the grass watching the small fox sleep and blamed herself for getting distracted. Kakashi sighed and noted that the ANBU who guarded the two prisons had been trained rigorously by Sasuke. Kurama urged her not to be sad and teased in his usual proud manner, surprising both Naruko and Kakashi. He boasted that he was not as weak as they might have thought and then shifted into a human form. The blonde host embraced the red-haired fox spirit in a comforting hug, which he returned. Kurama reassured her that he was fine. Naruko stepped back and vowed not to be overconfident from now on. Kakashi remarked that Sasuke would likely learn of the intrusion soon. The advantage was that, aside from Kurama, their true identities remained unknown. Kurama reminded them to be cautious. Naruko insisted they were strong and could defeat their opponents, but Kurama pointed out that while Naruko might be powerful, she still needed to train her most advanced abilities. Naruko pouted about her struggles with Kurama mode and a brief Sage mode duration, yet maintained it was enough. Kurama warned that Sasuke possessed advanced ocular techniques and strategic mastery, and that Naruko was not yet at his level. Naruko winced, and Kurama, frustrated, urged them to plan their next move. Kakashi began to speak, but Naruko questioned why they had come if she was not fully prepared. Kurama reminded her they had no choice once Kakashi had found her. Naruko fell silent. In Konoha's prison, Kiba asked the others if they remembered what Kakashi had said. Ino asked what he meant, and Kiba proposed a small theory. What if the person they were talking about was Naruto in disguise and not a relative? Everyone fell silent. Kiba reasoned that if the person had been a family member, the truth would have been known long ago. Hinata hesitated, pointing out that the person in question was a woman. Kiba suggested that Naruto's transformation techniques could have been used to disguise himself. Shikamaru admitted it was possible but argued that Naruto would not behave that way. Choji insisted Naruto would never abandon Sasuke in such matters. Hinata said it might have been possible if the village still scorned him, but pointed out that Naruto had been honored since the attack by the Akatsuki leader. Ten admitted she wanted to believe Kiba's idea, but agreed that Naruto didn't run away. Kiba rested his head on the table and said he still wanted the person to be there. Ino remembered how fun it had been when they were together. The group complained about the stress of their situation. Moegi and Udon arrived, speaking sadly about Konohamaru's state since the incident with Naruto. Udon admitted they did not know what to do. Rock Lee interrupted, declaring that enough was enough and that it was time to take action. Ino said they had already tried, but Lee countered that Naruto never gave up and they would not either. Hinata smiled and said she stood with Lee. Kiba added that Naruto and Neji would do something too, and pledged his support. Shikamaru, begrudgingly, agreed, and Choji and Shino offered their backing as well. Hinata asked Moegi and Udon to visit Konohamaru and tell him they intended to act. They went to find him. Konohamaru greeted them with a small spark in his eyes despite his lingering gloom. Ino assured him that this would end, and Lee declared their resolve was for Naruto and Neji. The group echoed the sentiment quietly to avoid suspicion. A guard hurried past and accidentally bumped Hinata. Ino scolded the guard, but Hinata said she was fine and did not want anyone to get in trouble on her account. Shikamaru noted that something felt off. The guards had received news and security had been reinforced. Sai revealed that the matter involved the Nine Tails. Others reacted with surprise. Sai explained that he had heard 3 ninjas had infiltrated the village with the intent to free the tailed beasts, and that one of them had been linked to the Nine Tails. Ino wondered if Kiba might have been right, and Shino said it was possible. Hinata thought of Naruto and worried. Later, Anbyu burst in to inform Sasuke that 3 ninjas had infiltrated Konoha. Sasuke reacted with alarm at the news. Someone asked why the intruders had not been captured. 3 reported that they were hiding well and that there was more to the situation. 4 said they were certain one of them had been the Nine Tails, though smaller, and that a girl had even called it Kurama. Sasuke reacted with shock. 1 told the Hokage that the group had included a blonde girl, a white-haired person wearing Umbu clothing, and that the Nine Tails had used a transformation to appear as a tall red-haired man. Umbu 3 added that they suspected the white-haired person was Kakashi and that the blonde was the girl Sasuke had been searching for. Sasuke ordered everyone to raise the alarm and search immediately, to not neglect the prisons, and to bring the blonde and Kurama to him if they were found while leaving Kakashi in custody. Everyone acknowledged and left, leaving Sasuke deep in thought until Sakura arrived. Sakura asked what was wrong. Sasuke said it was possible that Naruto was still alive. Sakura asked how that could be. Sasuke explained that everything about the blonde girl he had been told increasingly pointed to Naruto. Sakura protested that Naruto was a woman. Sasuke said Naruto could use a transformation technique that altered appearance, that the Nine Tails was with her, and that they had infiltrated Konoha. Sakura reacted with disbelief at the idea of the Nine Tails being involved. Sasuke argued that if it were not Naruto, there was no reason she would be with Kurama or infiltrate Konoha, and that Kakashi's involvement suggested deliberate help. Sakura reminded him that Kakashi might have gathered allies and that they had seen Naruto die. Sasuke said Kakashi knew that the only person stronger than him was Naruto. Even the Nine Tails alone could not match him. He allowed for the possibility of reincarnation but found it unlikely. Sakura asked how reincarnation worked and why he suspected it. Sasuke explained that he was the reincarnation of Indra, the elder son of the Sage of Six Paths, a lineage that had been reborn many times, while Naruto was the reincarnation of Ashura, the younger son. Sakura acknowledged this, but Sasuke pointed out that the girl appeared to be 16 or 17, which didn't fit the typical pattern of reincarnation beginning life anew as a baby. He also noted that, as far as he knew, previous reincarnations of the Otsutsuki brothers had all been male. Sakura asked if the Sage of Six Paths might have assisted them. Sasuke said it was possible, but they would not know until they confronted the two directly. When Sakura asked whether he would go or wait, Sasuke said he would go, and Sakura said she would accompany him because she wanted to know whether it was Naruto. Sasuke admitted, with a hint of sadness, that he hoped it really was the blonde troublemaker. Later, Naruko asked what they should do. Kakashi smiled and said he had a plan and that they should listen. Naruko brightened when Kakashi said she would be the key. She grew excited at the idea of playing an important role. Kurama scolded her for shouting, and Naruko laughed lightly and apologized. Elsewhere, Umbu and Jonin searched the village and questioned villagers about a blonde, a white-haired person, and a red-haired man or a fox, but no one had information. Then a voice asked if they had been looking for the group. The Umbu turned to see the three people they sought standing before them. The red-haired figure looked to be in poor condition. Naruko announced that they would save the Umbu some trouble. When asked what they were plotting, she said they had discovered that the anesthetic in the Umbu's darts contained poison. The Umbu checked and confirmed she was correct. Naruko offered to surrender in exchange for Kurama being taken to Lady Tsunade for treatment. A Jonin said Tsunade's help was unnecessary because the poison was not strong enough and reminded them that Kurama was a prisoner. Kakashi insisted they were not lying and that Tsunade, even as a prisoner, would assist with medical treatment. Naruko, irritated, protested that Kurama looked pale and sweaty. The Umbu agreed that something was wrong. The Jonin suggested the poisons might have been mixed up. One Umbu wondered aloud why the powerful Nine Tails would be affected by a poison. Naruko explained that being a Bijou did not make one immune to all ailments and that they did not have the resources to treat Kurama properly. The leaders conferred and decided they could not allow Kurama to die. If the blonde was Naruto, they were not a match for her. 3 Umbu took Kurama and Kakashi to Konoha's prison, another 3 investigated the poison confusion, and the remaining Umbu brought Naruko to the Hokage Tower. At the tower, an Umbu commented that their chakras had been well concealed. Naruko accepted the compliment with a light laugh. When one Umbu asked if she was Naruto, Naruko denied it and pointed out that he had supposedly been dead for some time. Another Umbu told them to stop asking and that the Hokage would handle her. Naruko retorted by asking who would call someone a traitor to their comrades the Hokage, and one Umbu fell silent. On the roof of the Hokage Tower, the group waited for the Hokage and his second-in-command, Sakura. In another place, Sakura and Sasuke concentrated, Sasuke with his eyes closed, attempting to locate the chakras of the infiltrators. Sakura reported no sign yet. Sasuke said he was even more convinced that the blonde was Naruto, as it would be unusual for someone outside the ninja world to hide chakra so well. He sighed and urged them to continue. An Umbu then arrived and announced that the suspects had been found. Sakura reacted with surprise. The Umbu explained that the suspects had surrendered themselves and that, apparently, the poisons in the anesthetic darts had been mixed up. One dart had affected the Nine Tails, leaving it in poor condition and requiring Tsunade's care. Sasuke was thoughtful. Sakura asked where they were now. The Umbu said they were on the roof of the Hokage Tower. Sakura and Sasuke exchanged a look, both anxious and hopeful at the thought of seeing their former comrade again or facing the disappointment of discovering the opposite. Sasuke told the Umbu that once the Nine Tails recovered, they should bring it to him because he had many questions. The Umbu confirmed they would follow his orders. Naruko said she was getting bored and asked when Sasuke would arrive. An Anbu told her to show more respect to Lord Hokage. A Jounin told her not to raise her voice over something trivial, looked at Naruko, and said the Hokage would arrive soon. And she only had to wait a little. Naruko asked whether it was necessary to have her hands tied since she had surrendered. Another Anbu apologized and said it was a precaution because they did not know who she was and her earlier words had sounded suspicious. Naruko laughed a little and accepted. A black-haired figure climbed the stairs, and the blonde was stunned. She felt she knew him from somewhere and blushed at his good looks. A pink-haired girl followed him. Both appeared nervous and anxious to see her. Sasuke said they were finally face to face. The blue-eyed woman recognized that voice from her dreams and her eyes widened when she heard it, but no one noticed because he wore an Anbu mask. Sakura asked why he wore a mask and whether he was hiding something. Naruko teased that he was hiding his incredible looks and said she liked it, asking if she looked great. Some kunoichi laughed at Sakura but fell silent at the glare from the Uchiha. Sakura demanded that he remove the mask. Naruko pointed out that her hands were tied. Sakura grew angry and shouted. Sasuke told Sakura to calm down, and Sakura apologized. Sasuke asked for Naruko's name. Naruko answered that her name was Naruko. Sakura asked for her surname. Naruko said she had none. Sasuke asked how old she was. She said 17. Sasuke asked what she knew about her past. Naruko said she did not know and had no memories. Sasuke removed the mask and revealed Naruko's face. Everyone was shocked. She looked identical to Naruto's same hair color, same gaze, and the same sky-blue eyes. Sasuke spoke Naruto's name. He crouched down and looked at her, and the blonde blushed. Sasuke said he had searched for her for a long time and used a familiar nickname. Naruko insisted she did not know him and denied being Naruto, telling them to stop comparing her. Sakura asked how she could explain her resemblance. Naruko insisted she did not know and did not even know what Naruto was like. Sasuke suggested that if she had no memories and now presented as female, it might mean she was a reincarnation. Naruko reacted with confusion. Sakura said it was impossible. Sasuke acknowledged the improbability but explained that it was the only logical explanation and that sensing her chakra showed they were identical. Naruko said she did not understand. One of the Anbu asked the Hokage if he really believed it. Sasuke confirmed he was sure, everything matched. Naruko asked why he was searching for Naruto. Sasuke said it was because he loved him. Naruko laughed and questioned whether loving someone meant killing them. Sakura accused Naruko of not knowing why Sasuke had suffered. Sasuke addressed Sakura and then ordered the Anbu to withdraw. The Anbu obeyed and left them alone. Sasuke explained that he had not killed Naruto. Someone had introduced poison into his body, and because Naruto had been stubborn he had not warned them, and by the time they realized it, it was too late. Naruko said Naruto had asked Sasuke to protect everyone and asked why he had not fulfilled that promise if he loved him. Sasuke lowered his gaze. Sakura demanded to know how Naruko knew that. Naruko said Kurama and Kakashi had been there and had told her everything. She said she needed information about the enemy. Hearing Naruko refer to them as enemies left a hollow feeling in Sakura and Sasuke. Naruko closed her eyes and said she had expected them to be smarter and felt disappointed. Sasuke demanded to know what she meant. When Naruko opened her eyes, both Uchiha and Haruno were shocked to see her enter Sage mode. Naruko asked whether they knew it and told them not to suggest that Naruto had also known how to do it. Sasuke admitted he had suspected as much. Sakura pleaded for Naruto. Naruko snapped that they had to stop. Sasuke ordered Sakura to notify all ANBU, Jounin, and Chunin to head to the prisons at once. Sakura obeyed and left. Sasuke said the whole thing had been a trap. Naruko replied that no matter how strong the poison had been, it could never harm Kurama. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and vowed to stop her and make her remember everything so he would not lose her again. The blonde touched her head. She had been feeling a deep pain since she heard his voice, and it hurt more whenever someone spoke of Naruto. She thought that it had always hurt a little when Naruto was mentioned, but now each time someone spoke of him the pain increased. Elsewhere, Anbu entered the Konoha prison with two familiar figures. When they reached the prisoners, everyone was surprised by the newcomer, Kurama. One ANBU instructed another to stay with Kakashi. Kakashi agreed. The ANBU escorted Kurama to the former Hokage while some onlookers watched, and several known shinobi approached the silver-haired man. Hinata asked if that was Kakashi-sensei. The Hatake regarded them oddly for a moment as if he did not recognize them, then turned his gaze toward where the redhead had been taken. Ino scolded him for being rude to ignore people. Kakashi remained silent. Kiba asked whether their sensei was listening. The ANBU left the prison under Kakashi's watchful gaze, and when they were gone he looked at the others. Kakashi asked whether they knew Kakashi. Choji pointed out that he was Kakashi. Tenten asked what was wrong with him and said he seemed strange. Kakashi then asked whether Naruto was also present. Everyone fell silent, frowned, and stepped back a little. Shikamaru said plainly that this was not Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi shook his head. The others assumed a guarded stance but relaxed when they noticed the guards were paying attention elsewhere and looked at him with anger. Ino demanded to know where Kakashi-sensei was. Kakashi told them to calm down and said that Kakashi was fine and that they had come to help. Shikamaru questioned that notion. Kurama approached and announced that it was time to begin. Everyone looked at him curiously and noticed Lady Tsunade standing behind him. Lee called out to the Hokage. Tsunade asked if Kakashi was present. Kakashi explained that he was not the Hokage and that he was using a transformation jutsu. Kurama added that his technique was the same. Choji asked what was happening. Kurama suggested they move somewhere more private. Tsunade said the guards rarely visited the cells except at night to check if people were sleeping. They followed the blonde Hokage, and when they arrived they stared at the white-haired and red-haired figures. When no one could see them any longer, the two made hand seals and a burst of smoke enveloped them both. Everyone froze. When two identical blondes appeared before them, bearing a strong resemblance to a certain fallen hero. Hinata asked if it was Naruto. Kiba wondered if it was really him. The blonde who introduced herself as Naruko asked them not to start calling her Naruto. Tsunade asked who she was. Naruko stated that her name was Naruko, that she was 17, and that she was not Naruto, asking everyone not to pester her about the resemblance. Ino tried to speak, but Tsunade questioned how her chakra could be identical to Naruto's. Naruko said she did not know and that since she could remember she had always been with Kurama. Shikamaru identified Kurama as the Nine Tails. Naruko confirmed that the Nine Tails had looked after and trained her as a ninja. Tsunade proposed that they first leave and defeat Sasuke, and then discuss the matter. Everyone agreed. Hinata embraced Naruko and reached for the name Naruto, and Naruko smiled and explained that she was not him but that if her resemblance brought Hinata comfort, that was fine. Everyone was surprised to hear her call Hinata by name. Hinata said she had never told Naruko her name, and Naruko replied that, strangely, she had somehow known. Shikamaru remained thoughtful. Kiba guessed that Naruko was the girl sent to find Kakashi-sensei. Naruko confirmed they had come to help and that Kakashi was with Kurama at that moment. Tenten mentioned that they already had a plan to escape and asked what Naruko's plan was now that she was there. Naruko smiled mischievously and said her plan was brute force. Everyone reacted with surprise, and Naruko told them to follow her. She sprinted forward and knocked a guard unconscious with a kick, surprising everyone present. Konohamaru cried out in shock at the resemblance. Naruko loudly insisted she was not Naruto and commanded everyone to get out now. The group rallied behind her and pushed through the guards, taking them down one by one in fast, anime-style combat. When they finally escaped, they celebrated that someone was taking charge. Several ninjas thanked Naruko and went on to fight other shinobi, and some shouted that Naruto had returned. Naruko accepted the praise awkwardly. Hinata expressed her gratitude, and Naruko smiled in response. Before Naruko could finish her sentence, she was struck by an almost unbearable headache. Another clone also faltered and fell to her knees. Ino panicked and asked what was happening. One clone reported that something had happened to the original. Another clone said she did not feel well and then disappeared. The remaining clone urged everyone to check on the original in the Hokage Tower while she would go with Kakashi and Kurama if she arrived in time. The entire Naruto generation nodded and hurried toward the tower. Shikamaru admitted that he was almost certain Naruko was actually Naruto, but he insisted they had to focus on the present situation. Tsunade noted with a sad smile that the courage was the same as before. Lee remembered the failed attack on Sasuke from earlier days and how those ninjas had never been seen again. Choji wondered if they had died, and Sai said that was likely. Tenten tried to lift everyone's spirits, reminding them that they had once tried to inspire their comrades to act, but fear of Sasuke had kept many from doing anything. After Naruto's death, hope had vanished. The narrative then recalled how Sasuke had become the strongest ninja, terrifying others. Rumors said he had killed all the Kage except the Hokage and the Kazekage, and the latter had not been seen recently. That fear had kept shinobi from acting, but seeing the blonde again stirred memories of their fallen hero and renewed hope and confidence. Those who remained with Sasuke did so out of fear, convinced Sasuke remained stronger and that the blonde would fail and die again, if only they knew the whole truth. Tsunade declared that none of that mattered now and that they had to go help Naruko. Elsewhere, a red-haired figure and a white-haired figure moved through a large cave once more, entering quietly. Kurama indicated the direction to follow. Kakashi commented on the uncanny silence and asked if Kurama could sense any chakra. Kurama confirmed that he felt Matatabi's chakra. When they reached the spot Kurama had sensed, there was nothing visible, only a seal that served as the source of the chakra. Kurama struck the wall in frustration and realized that the enemy possessed the Rinnegan. Kakashi urged him to remain calm and reminded him that the tailed beasts should still be in Konoha. Kurama lamented that they had sent Naruko with Sasuke and that it had not worked. Kakashi insisted they needed to leave immediately. As they were leaving the cave, they suddenly heard the sounds of war cries from the village. Kurama smiled, believing that Naruko had managed to cause that disturbance. In a brief flashback, Kakashi had predicted that Naruko would distract the Hokage, while Kurama had disagreed. Naruko herself had reacted with surprise at the plan. Naruko challenged the plan by asking why not. Kurama warned that it would be dangerous. Naruko insisted that they were in danger all the time here. Kakashi acknowledged Kurama's worry but said it was their only option. Kurama explained that he was the only one who could sense the chakra of the tailed beasts, even when they were sealed. Kakashi said they still had to do something about the prisoners. Naruko volunteered to make clones. Kakashi outlined the plan and asked if she could make 2 clones. Naruko, excited, said she could make many more than that. Kakashi smiled and said 2 of the clones would go with her disguised as him and Kurama and would surrender. Naruko understood. Kakashi explained that because the darts contained a paralytic poison, they would say Kurama was badly hurt and request that he be sent to the Hokage. Naruko questioned sending him to the Hokage. Kurama described the 5th Hokage as a woman who appeared younger than her years, with blonde hair and brown eyes. Her name was Tsunade. Naruko agreed. Kakashi told her that when her 2 clones met the Hokage, she should help the Hokage and the others escape. Naruko confirmed. Kurama warned her not to do anything foolish. Naruko pleaded and Kurama told her to be careful. Naruko created 2 shadow clones that transformed into Kakashi and Kurama before departing. Kurama suggested they wait until attention was drawn to the disguised pair. End of flashback. As they prepared to run toward the village, they stopped when a blonde girl stumbled toward them. Kurama caught her. Before she fell, both Kurama and Kakashi called out that it was Naruko. One of Naruko's clones reported that something was wrong with the original and that she was in the Hokage Tower as planned. Kurama said they would go immediately. The clone gasped that she could not continue and that it hurt, then vanished. Worried, they rushed toward the Hokage Tower. Sasuke called Naruko by name, which made her blush and grow nervous. Sasuke reminded her that she had once been Naruto Uzumaki, the child of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and Kushina Uzumaki. Those names caused Naruko both a headache and a surge of longing and sorrow. Sasuke said she had been the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, which had led the village to shun her, but she had kept going with a smile. Sasuke continued that after she left the academy she had been assigned to a team with Kakashi, Sakura, and himself, and that they had been both close friends and rivals. Naruko, upset, rushed forward to strike him but was too weakened by the pain in her head and heart. Sasuke easily avoided her. He insisted she needed to remember for her own good. Naruko denied needing to remember anything and demanded to be left alone. Sasuke called her stubborn, then took hold of her wrists and said that he had left the village for a misguided revenge and she had spent years trying to bring him back. Naruko begged him to stop. Sasuke said she had become stronger, trained with the Toad Sage, defeated the leader of Akatsuki, and earned the recognition she had always wanted. Naruko burst into tears and begged him to be quiet. Sasuke told her that she had saved everyone during the Fourth Great Ninja War but had later succumbed to poison that had been in her body. Naruko pleaded again. Sasuke said he had confessed his love to her and that she had returned it. Naruko could not remember. Sasuke shouted that she could not forget such things so easily. Naruko insisted she did not remember and demanded that he leave her and fight. The pain was overwhelming. Sasuke held her ears so she could not block out his words, and she could not pull away. Sasuke asked if his words were not enough. Naruko looked into his eyes and saw red with a dark pattern. Her surroundings went black. When she regained focus, she found herself in a void with nothing but darkness. A small boy stood with his back to her, crying. She greeted him, but he did not respond. When she tried to approach him, he faded away. Then she saw the same boy with two other figures nearby. One voice called him mediocre, another angrily threatened violence if anyone harmed his teacher. The boy produced many shadow clones, and they launched into action against the silver-haired man in swift, anime-style combat with no graphic detail. Another figure told the boy to come closer. The boy obeyed, closed his eyes, and the man placed a forehead protector on him, then told him to open his eyes and offered words that moved Naruko. The man congratulated the boy on graduating. The boy stood in shock and embraced the man, laughing. The three figures vanished and the vision shifted to show the same boy with other familiar faces. A pink-haired girl, a black-haired peer, and an albino. The same scenes repeated with different people: Irika-sensei, Kanemaru, Sakura, Kakashi, the Toad Sage, Tsunade, Kurama, the fourth Hokage, Kushina, Gaara, the third Hokage, and Sasuke. Each face felt known to Naruko, though she did not understand why. Time lost meaning and she could no longer bear the weight of the memories. She wanted it all to end. The last image was of a blonde young man with his team looking on sadly. Sasuke kissed the blonde in a tender moment, and the blonde later died. Naruko felt a sudden, unexplained guilt and wondered whether these were memories from a past life and the reason she could not recall her childhood was she Naruto? The genjutsu ended. Naruko staggered back, clutching her head, and dropped to her knees. She called Sasuke weakly. Sasuke asked whether she had remembered. Someone offered for her to come with him and take his place as Hokage. The blonde approached Sasuke, struck him in the stomach, and then kicked, forcing him to step back. Sasuke reacted in stunned disbelief, barely able to understand what was happening. Seeing her like that surprised him. Her gaze was empty and devoid of its usual spark. Sasuke asked what Naruto was doing, but the blue-eyed girl did not answer and simply ran at him to strike again. Sasuke clicked his tongue and muttered that they would have to settle this by force, like in the old days. The blonde lifted her gaze and the signs of sage mode were visible. Sasuke invoked Uzuratanki and fixed her with his Mangekyo Sharingan, ready to fight. Two people clashed on the rooftop of the Hokage Tower, evenly matched. Suddenly both received blows at the same moment. Sasuke observed how persistent she was, and asked her at least to say something, but Naruko remained silent. In the middle of the fight, a large group of familiar ninjas arrived and watched in shock. Before anyone could intervene, an albino and a redhead appeared. Kurama called out for Naruko. The blonde looked toward him and he, startled, quickly knocked her unconscious with a single blow to the head, cradling her in his lap and then turning to face Sasuke with fury. Kurama demanded to know what Sasuke had done. Sasuke told Kurama to answer his questions. Kurama confirmed with an anguished cry that the blonde was Naruto, and everyone except Kakashi froze in stunned disbelief. Kurama berated Sasuke, reminding him that Naruto's sudden loss of memory had been for a reason. The old sage of six paths had apparently caused Naruto to lose his memories to prevent his mind from breaking. The revelation left everyone speechless. Sasuke wondered aloud why the sage of six paths would do such a thing. Kurama answered that everything has a price. Sakura asked if there was nothing they could do, but Kurama admitted he did not know. Sasuke lowered his gaze, everything happening too fast. He had been reunited with Naruto and now it seemed he had ruined everything again. He had already lost his clan, his brother, and his soulmate. Now, when he had regained her, he had corrupted her mind. He laughed quietly to himself. His companions watched him, confused. Kiba demanded to know what was so funny. Sakura reached towards Sasuke with concern. Sasuke insisted that nothing else mattered, Naruto and he would always be reborn. Kurama asked if he meant what they feared, and Sasuke smiled maliciously, confirming Kurama's worst suspicions. Tsunade asked for clarification, and Kurama explained that Sasuke and Naruto were destined to reincarnate over and over to fight once more, a consequence of something that had happened in the distant past between two brothers. Kakashi asked if Sasuke planned to kill Naruto and then take his own life. Sasuke laughed and confirmed that was his intention. The others reacted with disbelief and anger. Ino called him insane. Sasuke said it was none of their concern. Kurama raged that Sasuke was wrong if he thought he could harm Naruto in any way. Sakura told Sasuke that this had gone too far. Sasuke reminded Sakura that she had always supported him, and asked if she still wanted to be with him. Sakura faltered. Sasuke tried one last time, asking politely that they hand over Naruto so he and Naruto could die together and be reborn to find one another again. Kurama warned him about the cost of each reincarnation. In every life the two fought to the death and Naruto would remember nothing. Sasuke, however, declared that his will to be with Naruto forever was enough and that if Indra still sought power in future lives, that was beyond his concern now. Kurama cursed him under his breath. The vengeful Uchiha had lost his mind after losing his beloved once more, and now he believed this was the only path to be reunited. In his view, Naruko had lost her memories and looked like someone close to death but still breathing. The only solution in his mind was to end both their lives so they might be reborn together. Sasuke used his Rinnegan to trap everyone in a powerful genjutsu, then carefully took the unconscious blonde and left the village. After some time the genjutsu wore off and the others realized that Sasuke and the blonde were gone. Everyone feared they were both dead. Tsunade muttered that it had happened again. Sakura called out for Sasuke and Naruto in worry. Kurama reassured them that they were alive. He explained that Naruko was his Jinchuriki and that she had freed them from the genjutsu. Freeing people from a Rinnegan genjutsu had cost him a great deal of chakra. The others agreed they had to find and help her. Led by Kurama, they tracked the blonde's chakra. As they drew nearer, they could hear the sounds of a struggle. Later, Sasuke stood at the edge of a cliff holding the blonde in his arms, staring at the distant ground with an expression that had lost its light. He tenderly looked at the girl in his arms and told her that he would see her in the next life. He pressed a brief, emotional farewell to her forehead and then turned his back, pulling her close. Naruko looked at him with a furrowed brow and red-rimmed eyes, surprised to recognize him as the one who had been appearing in her dreams. She called him a fool for showing up in her dreams and suddenly pulled away, forcing Sasuke to stagger backward. Before he could fall, she grabbed his clothing and threw him aside with surprising strength. Sasuke hit the ground and before he could open his eyes the blonde had seized him again, bringing his face close to hers. Naruko demanded angrily what he had done. Sasuke, stunned, struggled to process that it was indeed Naruto before him. Naruko called him a complete idiot and demanded why this had happened this time. Sasuke looked away painfully. She ordered him to answer. He told her that she had no right to judge him, insisting that the only reason he had agreed to return to the village was for her. Naruko fell silent for a moment. Sasuke asked what any of his plans mattered if she was not there. Naruko reminded him that he had Sakura by his side. Naruko demanded whether the other woman meant nothing to him. Sasuke insisted that he did not love her. Naruko found it ironic that he said he loved her but showed otherwise. She reminded him that she had asked him to protect everyone and he had failed, and now he had tried to kill her. The blonde lowered her gaze, hiding her face. Sasuke shouted that he had not lied and that he loved her more than anyone. Naruko raised her eyes, which were blue again and rimmed with tears, and told him not to lie. If he truly loved her, he would not have done all of this. She released him and he grabbed her shoulders roughly, calling her by the old name that no longer fit. Naruko told him to stop using that name, it no longer belonged to her. Sasuke brushed it off as only a name and told her not to be dramatic. Naruko laughed weakly and said that, regrettably, she would have to stop him, since that was why she was alive. Sasuke sighed and said that even though she had returned he would not stop. He lunged at her, but she stepped aside quickly. Naruko demanded what he was doing, and Sasuke argued that if he gave everything up he still could not be with her, he would likely be executed or imprisoned for life. Naruko insisted that she could make the others see reason, but Sasuke shot that down. They would only be afraid and would not listen again. He bleakly suggested that the only thing left was to die together. Naruko refused to abandon everyone. She said her duty was to protect others. Sasuke countered that it was a duty she had chosen herself, not an obligation. He pleaded that he still did not understand why she fought for everyone when they owed her nothing. When he finally admitted he had known she would reject him, he attacked again with his sword. Naruko blocked the blow with a small dagger. Sasuke warned her that if she did not fight seriously she would die. Naruko protested that she did not want a deadly battle. Sasuke declared it their destiny. Naruko argued they could change it, but Sasuke refused to hear it and demanded that she fight properly. Naruko shook her head and refused to fight to the death. Sasuke grabbed her arms so tightly that she dropped her dagger and moved to stab her in the chest. Naruko begged him to stop, but he ignored her and struck again. Frustrated, she drove her knee into his stomach, forcing him to step back and cough. Sasuke noted that she had finally attacked. Naruko said she had no choice, but she would not kill him, she would make him think. Sasuke laughed and recalled the old days, saying he would be happier if it were Naruko who killed him rather than someone else. He proposed a grim wager. If he won he would kill her and then take his own life. If she won she would kill him. Naruko refused, horrified. Sasuke explained that he could not imagine living after what he had done. She was all he had left, and he could not be with her because of his actions. Naruko asked why he had chosen this path when there had been other options, and he admitted he had thought suicide was not an option and that he resumed his previous plans without knowing she would return. With that he threw himself forward and the two launched into close-quarters combat. Sasuke taunted her about what she had learned from the Nine Tails, and Naruko corrected him gently by naming the beast Kurama. Sasuke created a barrage of fiery spheres and hurled them, and Naruko formed hand seals and expelled a jet of water from her mouth to extinguish the flames, then followed with a massive fire technique that looked like a dragon. Sasuke dodged and almost collided with a spinning wind shuriken that Naruko sent his way. He admitted she had been well trained, and Naruko acknowledged that Kurama had been a demanding but effective teacher. They continued to exchange blows until a group arrived. Kurama's voice called Naruko, and Sakura shouted Sasuke's name. Naruko felt a surge of relief to see them. She had missed them so much. Sasuke used a lightning attack and rushed forward, but someone stepped between him and Naruko and took the blow. Sakura had put herself in front of Naruko to receive the strike. Before Sakura could fall she was caught and laid gently in Naruko's arms. Naruko wept and asked why Sakura had done such a thing. Sakura wept too and took Naruko's hand, saying that she was repentant. Everyone was confused by her confession. Repentant for what? For betraying their friends? or for something else? Naruko demanded to know what she meant. Sakura, weak and breathless with a trace of blood at her lips, admitted that all this time she had felt guilty for what she had done to Naruko. Naruko, alarmed, urged her to stop speaking or she would only get worse. Naruko positioned Sakura on her lap and moved to place a hand over the wound to heal it with Kurama's energy, but Sakura clasped Naruko's hand to prevent it, insisting she did not deserve to be healed. No one else intervened. Everyone was filled with conflicting feelings. Sakura had betrayed them to pursue Sasuke's affection, yet they still cared for her after all the years together. Kurama had never taken to Sakura, remembering how, in Naruko's previous life, Sakura had scolded and struck the blonde for the smallest things. Sasuke had once cared for Sakura as a friend. At first he had felt guilty, but after her confession he found himself uncertain whether to keep feeling that guilt. From the way Sasuke spoke to Sakura, the others guessed that some memories might have returned to him, but the possibility seemed doubtful now. They said nothing because it was not the right moment to unravel those mysteries. Sakura began to speak again, struggling to finish her sentence as she tried to explain what she had once denied. Sakura stammered that saying she had seen him alive had been a lie. Everyone fell silent and stunned. Naruko did not speak for several minutes, eyes fixed on Sakura. Naruko finally asked what she meant. Sakura explained that while training under Lady Tsunade she had read about a powerful and dangerous poison that spreads through the body, attacks a person's chakra, and eventually kills the victim without causing physical pain. Sometimes the poisoned person did not notice until it was too late. It was rarely used because it was difficult to remove. Sakura revealed that that was the same poison the Black Zetsu had used on Naruto. She admitted that the day she had said there was no way he could survive, she had been lying. Seeing Naruko again filled Sakura with fear and guilt. Naruko's dark, hollow look made Sakura flinch. It seemed terrifying coming from someone usually so bright and cheerful. Sakura, distressed, confessed that the poison had already reached Naruto's chakra, and curing him would mean he could no longer be a ninja. She said she had wanted to be with Sasuke and had believed that if Naruto were alive he would never love her. She begged for forgiveness and called herself a fool. Naruko stood silent. Tsunade began to speak, but Sakura interrupted, apologizing to Lady Tsunade. Ino shouted furious accusations, saying Sakura had let Naruto die because of her foolish love for Sasuke. Sakura insisted she was remorseful. Tenten declared that a simple apology would not fix such an act. Shikamaru, unusually sharp and angry, demanded to know what made Sakura think killing Naruto would make Sasuke accept her, pointing out that Sasuke had never treated her as she imagined. Hinata accused Sakura of not understanding love and called her cruel, reminding everyone that Neji had sacrificed himself for Hinata and Naruto, and that Sakura's betrayal had made that sacrifice seem wasted. Tsunade told Sakura that she had been a student and had already been disappointed once. Now she had crossed a line. Kakashi reminded her of all the times Naruto had cared for and saved her, and how easily she had betrayed him for an unreturned love. Lee said he had been hurt by her earlier betrayal and now could not forgive her. The group shouted and cursed. Sakura was terrified, full of regret and pain, and she wished it would end. She reached instinctively for the closest person she trusted, Naruko. Surprisingly, Naruko had not spoken during the confrontation, so Sakura pressed herself against Naruko's waist and leaned into her lap, seeking comfort like a frightened child, trembling and whispering apologies. Ino ordered her to let go, but then went silent, stunned like the others, when she saw Naruko embrace Sakura protectively, the way a parent comforts a child after a nightmare. Naruko stroked Sakura's hair and murmured calming words, while using Kurama's chakra to heal the wound. The Chidori had not struck any vital spot, fortunately. Tenten reacted in confusion. Sasuke demanded to know what Naruto was doing and ordered her to release Sakura. Naruko smiled faintly though her eyes were dull and wet, still holding Sakura. Sasuke's gaze was full of fury. He felt the desire to tear into Sakura for what had happened. Naruko continued to console Sakura. Sakura questioned why Naruko would stay with her after such a betrayal, crying that everything was her fault and that Sasuke had acted because of her. Naruko admitted that the betrayal hurt her more than anything. It was painful that her best friend and the one she had once loved had been betrayed. But Naruko said everyone makes mistakes and that love can make people do foolish things, blinding them at times. Sakura insisted her actions were not a simple error, they were very serious. Naruko remained silent for a moment, then gently set Sakura against a tree and advised her not to move, warning that even healed, a Chidori wound would still be painful. Sakura apologized again with real remorse. Naruko told her it was good that she felt regret. Naruko rose and approached Kurama, placing a hand on the fox's shoulder. She greeted the beast and told it to prepare to unleash its power. Kurama responded with restrained amusement and readiness. Naruko tugged lightly at one of the fox ears that had appeared earlier in the tension and spoke to Kurama with a determined look, indicating they would discuss other matters later. Kurama swallowed and then poured its chakra into Naruko. As Naruko's body and clothing shifted into a bright yellow and black shimmer, she addressed her teammates and instructed them not to harm Sakura while she dealt with Sasuke. Tsunade sighed and smiled slightly, agreeing only because Naruko asked. Naruko thanked Tsunade and the others and said she had missed them all. Tsunade replied that they had missed her too, but that afterward Naruko would have to explain everything. Naruko told them to stay out of it and left for the confrontation. The others returned to the village to assist there, taking Sakura with them. Sasuke, jealous, complained that when they had been separated Naruko had not hugged him, yet she was hugging Sakura now. Naruko said she had not recognized him earlier and joked that if she had hugged him then he might have stabbed her in the back. Sasuke said he wanted to kill Sakura right then, and Naruko noted that he would have to get past her first. Sasuke activated his Mangekyo Sharingan and his Susanoo, and both he and Naruko took battle stances. A giant yellow fox and a purple-armored warrior faced each other, evenly matched. Naruko called out that Sasuke should lower his intensity a little and promised she would do the same. Sasuke reacted with surprise at the request as the confrontation began. Naruko questioned why they had done that and asked if Sasuke had not seen how they had left the Valley of the End. Sasuke snapped that such theatrics did not matter to him. Naruko protested that the place would look ruined and asked if being a woman made her more perfectionist. Sasuke asked why she was asking him, since he was a man. Naruko said that if she survived she would try to understand a woman's body and mind. Sasuke told her to stop getting distracted. Naruko teased that he was being sensitive. Fed up with Naruko's distractions, Sasuke attacked with greater intensity and took her by surprise, forcing the giant golden fox form to nearly withdraw. A voice in Naruko's head scolded her carelessness. She apologized and slapped her own cheeks to regain focus. The battlefield was being slowly destroyed by the force of their fight. Hours passed and both fighters grew tired. The giant creatures that had appeared earlier had vanished. Naruko unleashed a wind technique that sent a sharp gust towards Sasuke, forcing him to retreat. Sasuke activated Amaterasu. Dark flames flared, but Naruko vanished in a plume of smoke, prompting Sasuke to note a substitution technique. He searched the area with his Sharingan but could not find her. When he thought to check the ground, something sprang up and struck his chin, sending him momentarily into the air. He managed to land without serious harm. Naruko smiled at the memory. Sasuke moved quickly and struck her back, knocking her down, but she countered with a kick to his stomach that sent him stumbling and coughing. Neither of them used their full power, neither wanted to inflict grave harm on the other. Sasuke felt conflicted. His mission pushed him toward killing, but he found he did not fully want to follow through. Both fighters could only wait for the other to be worn down by lack of chakra. More hours passed and neither would yield. Night fell, both were exhausted and breathing hard, surrounded by the wreckage of the battlefield. Their duel resembled their battle at the Valley of the End, though it relied more on jutsu this time, particularly from Naruko, which drained her chakra despite her considerable reserves. Sasuke's ocular power allowed him to dodge most attacks, but he still suffered from a few strikes. Deep in Naruko's subconscious, the fox spoke and confirmed that it had gathered the amount of chakra she had requested. Naruko smiled with a mischievous glint and told the fox that it was time. The fox asked what she intended to do. Naruko said she would use a jutsu she always employed against the strongest opponents. The fox sighed at her foolishness but understood there was no other option. Both were nearly depleted of chakra. The fox warned that if the plan failed, there would be a severe consequence: no ramen for the rest of her life. Naruko froze at that thought, barely able to imagine life without that comfort, but she swallowed and formed hand seals, apologizing in her mind for exploiting Sasuke's feelings. A clone appeared at her side. The real Naruko and the clone charged towards Sasuke and formed a different set of hand seals. A shimmering curtain of light appeared and Sasuke closed his eyes. When he opened them, he found the scene transformed by a deliberate distraction. Two playful figures had taken on exaggerated, familiar appearances meant to unsettle and confuse him. They moved with coquettish, teasing energy that made Sasuke flush. Naruko blew a playful kiss, inviting Sasuke to be affected by the ruse. The Naruto-like clone teased that he found Sasuke's blushing endearing. Naruko, in a teasing tone, asked if he really intended to kill her. Together the two performed a synchronized, harmless gesture aimed at disarming him emotionally. The unexpected tactic left Sasuke flustered and unsteady. Seizing a moment of vulnerability, Naruko broke both jutsu and prepared to strike, but Sasuke grabbed her wrist and, for a moment, raised a kunai. Then he stopped. Naruko quickly disarmed him and kicked up a spray of dust into his eyes. With his vision stung by grit, Sasuke retreated to the edge of a cliff and kept his eyes closed. Naruko implored Sasuke to reconsider and called the whole situation ridiculous. Sasuke sighed and acknowledged that they had returned to the same conversation. Naruko insisted she would keep trying until he changed his mind. She had succeeded once before and believed she could do it again. Sasuke conceded that she had succeeded before, but he blamed Sakura for ruining it. Naruko asked him to drop the subject and said it had been a foolish impulse. Sasuke exploded in anger, demanding how she could call it just an impulse and accusing her of being too compassionate toward Sakura. Naruko defended Sakura as her best friend. Sasuke countered that the consequences had been serious. Naruko begged him to stop and promised she would speak with the others and try to convince them to forgive him. Sasuke insisted that such efforts would fail. He began to say something with intense emotion but could not finish his sentence. Naruko pressed him to clarify what he meant. Worried, she asked what would happen if his plan did not work and whether they might never be given another chance at life together. Everything might have been for nothing. Sasuke asked why they would not. Naruko wondered if they had perhaps broken the cycle of reincarnation the day he decided to return to the village. Sasuke began to speak, but Naruko explained that the Otsutsuki brothers had been destined to return again and again to fight each other, each trying to be stronger than the other. Sasuke urged her to get to the point. Naruko said that he and she no longer had that rivalry. If the souls of those brothers, now their own, were reconciled, this life could be their last. Sasuke asked how she knew, and Naruko replied that the Sage of Six Paths had helped her. Without him, she would not be there. Sasuke laughed a little and pointed out that her words meant even his plan could not keep them together. Naruko fell silent. Sasuke smiled and admitted he had lost again. Naruko snapped that it was not about winning or losing. Sasuke then confessed that he had done much harm to the world and that what hurt him most was having hurt her. He was glad to have known Naruko. Naruko flushed and grew nervous, insisting that this was not the moment for this and demanding to be returned to Sasuke. Sasuke chuckled at her reaction. When he called to her, Naruko looked back with a bad feeling. Sasuke said he loved her and then leaned backward, falling into the abyss. Naruko shouted his name and ran to catch him but could not reach him, so she jumped after him. When she reached him, she held him tightly and tried to channel Kurama's power but lacked the chakra to do so. Sasuke panicked when he felt her embrace. He had intended to fall alone. Naruko told him the same. Sasuke said that after everything he had done, his fate was clear. He would not allow himself to be seen imprisoned, nor would he allow anyone but her to end him, and she would never do that. Naruko angrily asked if his only option had been to take his own life and accused him of trying to leave her alone. Sasuke insisted she would never be alone because she was a hero of the ninja world. He tried to summon his protective power to save them, but he could not. Naruko cried that his absence would accomplish nothing. She acknowledged friends but said she had never felt the same with anyone else as she had with him. She declared that Ashura and Indra could not exist without each other. Wherever he went she would follow, because he was her best friend and the person she loved. She told him to be quiet and stop resisting. Sasuke hugged her and teased that she was very stubborn. From Naruko's body, a great surge of chakra began to emerge beneath them and took shape as a giant nine-tailed fox. Naruko named Kurama. The fox cushioned their fall, saving both Naruko and the exhausted, unconscious Sasuke. Kurama winced on contact with the ground but quickly steadied and asked if they were all right. Naruko checked Sasuke, nodded to the fox with a smile, and said they were fine. Kurama admitted being frightened when she had leaped off the cliff. Naruko apologized and thanked him. Kurama told them to rest and promised to bring them back to the village and to protect the sleeping Sasuke. Naruko thanked him and rested, holding on to Sasuke's body. In Konoha, two factions were clashing: those who supported Sasuke and those who defended Naruto's reincarnation. Another familiar group had just arrived. A pale-haired man carrying a pink-haired woman approached the Hokage's tower. When they descended, the pink-haired woman was struck forcefully in the face, though not fatally. Tsunade, furious, said that if Naruto had not asked otherwise she would have killed her. The injured woman sank before she could rise. Ino grabbed her clothing and delivered a harsh slap while blaming her for everything. Ino continued to strike and berate the pink-haired woman. No one intervened for a moment until an older man placed a hand on Ino's shoulder and told her it was enough. Kakashi warned that Naruko would be upset if she continued. Ino hesitated. Sakura, shaken, urged them to keep going. Ino demanded who had given Sakura permission to speak. Sakura pleaded that, despite everything, she wanted them to stop but would take responsibility. She begged them to tell Naruto she had asked for it. Ino spat that Sakura was pathetic and released her. Sakura fell back to her knees, head bowed, tears falling, cheeks flushed and her nose injured and bleeding. Sakura challenged them to hit her, saying it was what she deserved and begging them to tell Naruto that she had asked for it. Ino raised her hand again but was stopped by the man who had intervened. Suddenly, a kick was aimed at Sakura, and everyone fell silent as they saw who had acted. Kiba had kicked, and Hinata stood with tears in her eyes, saying that no one had the right to speak of Naruto in that way. 3 people stepped forward to shield Sakura. Konohamaru declared they should not hurt her. Moegi said that even if Sakura had betrayed them this was too much, and Udon pointed out that she had already been punished and asked them to stop. Tenten added that they would not continue. Shino told Hinata to calm down, and Hinata apologized for her outburst. Ino told Hinata to calm herself and insisted that Sakura deserved it. Konohamaru then asked where the girl who resembled Naruto was. Choji replied that she was fighting Sasuke. Shikamaru explained that the girl was Naruto. The 3 young ninjas stood in shock until one asked if it was true that Naruto was alive. An authority warned that if she harmed anyone from the village again, she would be executed immediately. Sakura replied that she understood and thanked them. Her final words could not be heard because everyone had already withdrawn to support the faction backing Naruto. She was physically and mentally exhausted, so she leaned against the wall and hugged herself. Sakura let her legs rest and closed her eyes. She apologized softly. 2 voices called fragments of her name as they tried to wake her. The pink-haired young woman opened her eyes slowly and saw 2 figures leaning over her. One of them screamed her name. Sakura, still dazed, asked if they were her mother and father. Mabuki said that Sakura was finally conscious. Sakura asked what they were doing there. Kizashi urged that she had to escape. When she finally came to her senses, she felt her parents transferring chakra into her. Night had fallen, war cries echoed in the distance, and some houses burned. Sakura asked how much time had passed and whether Naruto and Sasuke had returned. Mabuki dismissed Naruto as unimportant and insisted that Sakura had to escape and reclaim power in the other villages. Sakura asked why. Kizashi explained that the Hokage's faction was losing and that if they won completely they would execute her. Sakura fell silent. Mabuki said that they had decided to support her beloved for her, to stay by her side and protect her. Sakura said that he did not love her. Kizashi answered that they already knew. He liked Naruto and that was why she had let him die from the poison, and when she told them it had been hard to take her side since he had been the hero of the shinobi world. Mabuki replied that they did not care what she had done. She was their daughter and they would support her in everything, only wanting her to live and be happy. Kizashi urged her to reclaim the power. Kizashi told Sakura that the other villages would send shinobi as support and that was the only way she would survive. Sakura answered that she would not run. Mabuki called Sakura's name in alarm. Sakura declared that she would no longer take the wrong path. Kizashi pleaded with his daughter, reminding her that they had already given her the chakra necessary to flee. Sakura admitted that what she had done could not be fixed and that she might never be forgiven, but she insisted that she would do the right thing regardless of imprisonment or execution. She said she wanted to try to amend her mistake because intention mattered. Before Mabuki could respond, Sakura rose and struck a pressure point on her parents in a swift, controlled motion that temporarily immobilized them and sent them collapsing to the floor. Sakura reassured them that the effect would wear off by morning, then thanked them, apologized, and told them she loved them. She left after drawing some chakra from her parents for herself. Kizashi sighed and Mabuki laughed softly, both remarking on how stubborn she was and how proud they still felt. Sakura ran through the village to her home, changed into more mobile clothing, took a kunai and cut off her long ponytail. She secured her forehead protector like a diadem. Before leaving she healed a broken nose, put on a hood, and looked at a photograph of Team Sakura, smiled sadly and felt guilty that the team had split because of her. She moved across the rooftops, rushing through the streets to help the wounded. She healed those she could. When she encountered people supporting Sasuke, she healed them and then rendered them unconscious to prevent further conflict. As her reserves of active chakra dwindled, she tended to a civilian who had failed to reach the shelters. The civilian asked if she had seen Lady Tsunade and pointed in a direction while thanking her. Sakura told him she would not run anymore and called out to a chunin she had just healed, asking him to escort the civilian to the refuge where the others were. At the place the civilian had indicated, Sakura found Tsunade alongside former teammates and their veteran teacher engaged in a tense confrontation with Anbu and Jonin who had been trained harshly by Sasuke. The scene was charged with animated, high-paced maneuvers and flashes of chakra, but no one appeared to be grievously wounded. Tsunade confronted Sakura, demanding what she was doing there and asking if she had come for revenge. Tenten observed that the answer seemed obvious. Rock Lee questioned whether Sakura was still aligned with Sasuke. Someone observed that she truly had a dark heart. It was obvious that no one trusted her, so Sakura decided to prove herself by striking one of the masked operatives and breaking his mask. Sakura declared that she was on their side and that, even if it would not win her forgiveness, she wanted to do something good this time. Kakashi acknowledged that she was making the right choice. Sakura thanked Kakashi-sensei. A blonde was sent flying, and when she hit the ground Sakura ran to help her. Ino protested at first, but Sakura pleaded to be allowed to help so Ino could keep fighting. Ino hesitated and then conceded. Sakura smiled in gratitude and began to heal the blonde, who kept her gaze elsewhere. Ino admitted that she still did not trust her. Sakura replied that she already knew and that trust was not required, she only asked to be allowed to help. Ino replied that Sakura did not have to apologize to them, but to Naruko. After Sakura finished healing her, the blonde pulled her hand away abruptly and rose to continue the fight. Gradually the tide turned in their favor, especially as more ninjas came to assist. After a few minutes, when the last opponent fell, everyone erupted in celebration. Some laughed, some cried because they had finally reclaimed their home. The Konohamaru team arrived to ask if it was all over, and everyone nodded. Moegi cried with relief that it was finally finished. Udon asked if everything would return to normal. Kakashi said that at least Konoha was safe for now, though the other villages still needed attention. Sakura called out for Sasuke and Naruto. Konohamaru asked if they still had not returned. Lee suggested they should go look for them. Kiba noted that if neither had come back long ago, that implied something terrible had happened. Shikamaru concluded that Sasuke had won. Silence fell over the group. They had won the battle in Konoha, but their hero seemed to have died once more. Kurama observed that they had won but looked more depressed than when Naruto lacked ramen, and Tsunade reacted in surprise. Lee panicked at the idea they might be dead, and Kurama clarified that they were not dead, though they had come close. The 2-meter fox revealed his back, where two bodies lay curled together, resting peacefully. Konohamaru recognized Naruto and called out to him. Tsunade insisted they take both to the hospital. At the hospital, they placed Uzumaki and Uchiha on 2 stretchers, and Kurama shifted back into his human form. Both were alive but remained unconscious for 2 weeks. The redhead stayed in the hospital room constantly in case anyone threatened Sasuke. Sakura was arrested along with the traitorous ninjas. A blonde woman began to open her eyes. Kurama remarked that it was about time she woke up. Naruko told Kurama she was hungry and wanted ramen from Ichiraku with extra pork. Kurama laughed and teased her not to change. Naruko searched the room for someone in particular and became anxious when she did not find him. She demanded to know where Sasuke was. Kurama soothed her, saying he was fine and had woken the day before. He was currently with one of Kurama's clones and some friends, going to free the village leaders and Kurama's siblings. When Sasuke awakened, he confessed that he had never killed anyone since he had seized control across the villages. Instead, he had trapped them in a genjutsu using the Rinnegan and suppressed their chakras so everyone would believe they were dead and lose hope, making them stop being a nuisance. Kurama explained that some ninjas had gone to other villages to help, and regarding Naruko's memories of her past life, even the wisest and most powerful could be wrong. Naruko reacted with silence. Kurama asked what was wrong. Naruko, aside from scolding Kurama for choosing this body, expressed uncertainty about what she would do with Sasuke. Kurama acknowledged that Sasuke's actions had made it difficult for him. He was hated by most people. Naruko insisted that Sasuke had not killed anyone this time. Kurama countered that earlier in his life he had committed many grave acts: desertion, joining Orochimaru, fighting the village leaders, allying with the rogue organization, coming close to killing her, imprisoning the village leaders and those who opposed his revolution, and seizing control of all the villages. Naruko lowered her head. Kurama tried to console her, reminding her that Sasuke had still helped in the battle against the alien threat, that he was the last Uchiha and her partner, and that he was the only one known to possess the Rinnegan. Kurama suggested that people might spare his life out of fear of what could happen if he were gone, since they would need someone powerful enough to protect them, though Sasuke would likely live behind bars. Naruko vowed that she would do everything possible to prevent that outcome and insisted she would not give up. A group of people walked through the forest of death, which was quieter than usual. One ninja teased that the war hero had not been killed by the first attacker but by Haruno, who had now been reincarnated into a beautiful girl. Tenten reacted with an anxious sweat drop and chided Lee for telling that. Sasuke sighed. The teasing ninja asked if Sasuke and she were a couple or if she was unattached. Sasuke gave the young man a murderous look with his Mangekyo activated, which frightened the youth until he felt a hand on his back. Tsunade scolded the young man for trying to intimidate others and ordered him not to use the Sharingan. Sasuke responded that he saw no reason to lower his guard. If he wanted to do harm, he could already do so just by looking. The ground shook as Tsunade struck it in anger, and the young man froze in shock, while Sasuke deactivated his Mangekyo and continued walking, calling the entire scene bothersome. The teasing ninja then questioned their ages, suggesting one was 18 or 19 and the other 16 or 17. He looked to the redhead for confirmation and received it. The young man insisted the couple should be the same age and announced he was 16. Kurama clarified that they were almost 2 years apart and told the young man not to exaggerate, adding that the girl shared the same age and spirit as Sasuke. Kurama warned the teasing ninja not to attempt anything with her. The young man asked whether Sasuke's partner would prefer men, women, or both, whether people had forgiven Haruno, and why Kurama was outside instead of sealed inside her. Someone asked why he had a human form instead of a fox. Everyone glared at the mushroom-headed man for having told everything that had happened. Lee told him he really needed to stop asking about it. The other young ninja said he had been told before and his curiosity had only grown, but before he could continue, the Uchiha put him under a genjutsu, tired of the questions. Tsunade refused to reveal anything, admitting she would have done the same. Kakashi laughed nervously and said he would escort that boy back to the village and then go check whether Naruko had woken. Kakashi left with the young ninja. The others continued on and reached a cave. Inside, behind bars, many people and the tailed beasts in smaller forms could be seen, all held under a Rinnegan genjutsu. Tsunade examined them and found them alive but depleted of chakra because of special seals. Tsunade asked whether they had been there all that time. Shino asked why Tsunade had said she had killed them. Sasuke dismissed the question as unimportant. Sasuke then broke the genjutsu and released the seals. Only the tailed beasts awoke, while the humans remained unconscious. The tailed beasts reacted with surprise and questions about where they were and what had happened. Kurama sniffed at Shikaku and teased him. Shikaku retorted loudly. When the question of Naruto's status came up, Son Goku assumed that if Kurama was present then that boy had died. Kurama corrected him, explaining that it was more complicated. Naruto was alive but currently in the hospital. Isabu noted the pronoun shift in surprise, and Shikaka laughed at Kurama for forgetting the gender of his Jinchuriki. Kurama answered with a sharp remark and suggested they leave so he could explain later how Naruto had ended up changed. They all left the cave. The tailed beasts changed their appearances into human forms so they could walk through the village more easily and avoid unwanted attention. They planned to go to the hospital to speak with the blonde patient, but Sasuke was taken to prison ahead of schedule at his own request. The Uchiha had been fitted with a sealed BLNDFLD and clothing that limited his mobility. When the tailed beasts entered Naruko's hospital room, they were surprised by her appearance. Naruko looked confused and asked who they were. Matatabi teased her about not recognizing them. Naruko touched her head as a sharp pain flared and then passed, and a memory of a woman's voice returned to her. She smiled energetically and recognized them as the tailed beasts. Kurama observed that she still had gaps in her memory but that it would not be a problem. After a while the red-haired tailed beast recounted what had happened, leaving out the 8 tails because that beast was still inside its Jinchuriki. Tsunade entered the room and hugged Naruko, saying how much she had missed her. Naruko returned the sentiment and called Tsunade grandmother. Tsunade embraced her and then, in a sharp but controlled tone, scolded Naruko for hiding an important detail, asking how she could have kept it to herself. Naruko laughed nervously. Without Sasuke in the room she remained calm because she assumed where he was. Naruko asked where the Kage were. Tsunade told her they were still unconscious in the next room and that they would wake soon. Months passed. When the Kage finally awoke, they wanted to eliminate the last Uchiha, but Naruko, with Kurama's help, worked to prevent that. It took effort and there were protests in the villages calling for execution, but in the end they accepted the decision for the reasons Kurama had explained to Naruko. The tailed beasts returned to their habitats, largely indifferent to the political fallout. The day after Naruko awoke, her friends came to visit. Several of them could not help but cry and embrace her. Ino stared at a particular part of Naruko's body as she approached and lifted her hands toward it. Naruko blushed and covered her chest, embarrassed. Ino reacted with envious bewilderment at how Naruko's figure had changed. Shikamaru placed a hand on Ino's shoulder and told her to stop. The men in the room flushed at the exchange. Hinata urged Ino to calm down. Ino complained that someone who had formerly been a man now seemed to have a figure she envied, and Naruko replied defensively that she was not happy about the changes she had undergone. Kiba tried to stifle a laugh, and Tenten offered to help with anything Naruko might need. 2 months later, Naruko finally secured permission to visit Sasuke in prison after convincing the counselors that it was important for her to go. A guard led Naruko down the prison corridor to a cell where Sasuke sat on a bed with a sealed BLNDFLD over his eyes. Naruko spoke his name softly. Sasuke was surprised to hear her voice but remained silent. Naruko apologized for not being able to visit earlier, explaining that she had been forbidden from coming because of concerns for her safety. Sasuke asked why she was apologizing, and Naruko explained that she had pleaded to have some of his restrictive clothing removed. Sasuke noted that he had been given a different BLNDFLD with a seal that made it difficult to remove. Naruko pointed out that, despite that, he now had more mobility than before. Sasuke asked what her reason for coming was. Naruko asked whether she could not visit him. Naruko asked if she could visit her friend. Sasuke remained silent. Naruko explained that she was starting to get used to this body and thanked the other girls for their help. She said that being a woman was not easy, that one had to spend hours choosing clothes and getting ready, and that Ino insisted it was all to look pretty. Sasuke murmured in response. Naruko said she still did not understand, since everyone seemed to end up looking the same. She had told Ino this and was told there was still more to learn. Both fell silent for a moment. Naruko said she had tried to visit Sakura. At that name Sasuke tensed, which Naruko noticed. She said Sakura had acted distant. She had tried to talk but Sakura would not respond. Naruko added that she had told Sakura she did not blame her and still considered her a friend, but Sakura refused to speak or even meet her eyes. Sasuke said nothing. Naruko admitted it hurt to see them confined here, and her voice broke slightly, which worried Sasuke. Trying to shift the mood, Naruko announced that she had learned to perform the Rasengan with one hand and began to chatter about other things. Naruko recounted visiting the village where she had reincarnated, stopping by to see Granny Chio, who had made her a new scarf because the previous one had been ruined in their fight. Sasuke reacted at the name. Naruko said the name reminded her of an old grandmother she had once known. She added that the Kages had returned to their villages and the tailed beasts had gone to their respective homes. Sasuke called out to Naruto. Naruto declared that he would definitely get Sasuke out of there and promised he would succeed. The blonde looked at the dark-haired Uchiha with determination. Sasuke found it amusing and laughed, which confused her. Sasuke observed that she was always so stubborn and said he would be waiting for her to keep her word. Naruko smiled and said it might take a while, but she would definitely accomplish it. The guard announced that visitation time was over. Naruko complained about the rules and called them unfair. She rose from her chair and walked toward the exit, pausing in the doorway to look back at Sasuke. Naruko vowed she would never go back on her word and declared that this was her ninja way. Sasuke leaned against the wall and smiled faintly. Naruko remembered something and quickly stepped in front of Sasuke. He stood there, confused and unsure of what she would do. Naruko reached out and touched his face for a brief, silent moment before stepping back. She told Sasuke that this was the first time they had not kissed and that it was not an accident. Sasuke admitted that she surprised him more and more. Naruko laughed softly at his embarrassment and then left, hands on her head, guided by the guard, who was also flushed from the brief exchange. Two blondes spoke together nearby. The older one handed a stack of papers to the younger, who began to read them. The older woman explained that the papers were a contract and that the younger must follow it to the letter. She thought she might not have as much freedom as before, but it was the most she could do. The younger blonde smiled as much as she could, showing how happy and grateful she was. Naruko thanked Tsunade for everything. Tsunade sighed and told her it was nothing, then asked when Naruko would stop calling her that brat. The younger blonde hugged the older woman and quickly left as another woman entered the office. Shizen asked what had happened. Tsunade explained that, in short, he had gotten what he wanted. Shizen inferred what that meant, and Tsunade confirmed it. Shizen worried that it sounded risky. Tsunade said she had already taken measures and that if he did anything she disapproved of, he would be sent back to prison. Shizen set the tray of liquor she had brought on the Hokage's desk. Tsunade said it was exactly what she needed. Shizen remarked that much time had passed and she could not imagine how Naruko must be feeling now. Tsunade recalled the 5 years spent fighting to get Sasuke out, and said that today he finally did, but it had been worth it. While they spoke, a blonde ran as fast as she could toward Konoha prison, passing some of her friends without noticing. Shino observed that she looked happy. Ino wondered if she had succeeded. Shikamaru said it was most likely. She was so lost in her own world that she had not noticed them. Tenten asked Hinata if she felt all right. Hinata said she did, because Naruko was very happy and that made her happy too. Tenten started to respond, but Hinata added that although a long time had passed, her feelings would never be returned. Flashback. A blue-haired girl sat on a bench waiting for someone. She stood when she saw a blonde with her hands on her head walking toward her. Naruko called out to Hinata and apologized for being late in an excited voice. Hinata told her it was not a problem. Naruko sat down and said she had bought the new ramen that had come out that day. Hinata sat as well and listened. Naruko said she would visit Sasuke later and that she had to tell him about the last mission because it had been very fun. Naruko asked Hinata why she had asked her to come. Hinata began to play with her fingers unconsciously, and when she remained silent and flushed, Naruko placed her hand on Hinata's forehead to check if she had a fever. Hinata blushed more and stood up, flustered. She tried to address Naruko differently and then corrected herself. Naruko told her it did not matter what she called her. Hinata gathered herself and confessed that she liked Naruko. Naruko answered warmly that she cared for Hinata as a good friend. An Anbu arrived and handed something to Naruko, explaining that the Hokage had ordered it given to her. Naruko recognized the paper as permission to see Sasuke and complained that the rules for such a visit were so strict. The Anbu explained that normally no one could visit him at all and that Naruko was an exception. The Anbu left, leaving the girls alone. Naruko said she could only see Sasuke every 2 months and only at a specified hour. Hinata reacted with surprise. Naruko began to ask what Hinata had wanted to say earlier but stopped when she read the paper and realized with shock that the Anbu had delivered the permission 45 minutes late. Hinata could hardly believe it and asked if Naruko really only had 15 minutes to see him. Naruko explained that she had planned to use that time to visit Sakura and see if Sakura would finally talk to her. Hinata pointed out that they were far from the prison and that she would only have 4 minutes left. Naruko sighed and said she could wait 2 months. She reminded Hinata that Hinata had something she wanted to tell her. Hinata brushed it off as unimportant and urged her to go. Naruko hesitated, but Hinata insisted that she was taking up her time and to go. The blonde hugged Hinata to thank her and promised she would tell her what she wanted to say another day, then left Hinata alone. Hinata could not stop a tear from falling, but she slapped both cheeks with her palms to steady herself and told herself she had to be strong. After that, she visited Niji's grave to replace the flowers and tidy it a little. She resolved never to tell Naruko about her feelings. She thought Naruko would never be interested in someone shy who stuttered, while Sakura and Sasuke had strong personalities. When Naruko arrived at the prison, she rushed to where Sasuke was and kicked the door down, telling the guard he would pay for it. Sasuke was confused and surprised by the sudden crash and by the breathless voice he recognized immediately. Naruko triumphantly announced that she had done it, and Sasuke mocked her, calling her late and insulting her in his own sharp way. Naruko laughed and hugged him, and he returned the embrace. The two of them entered Naruko's new apartment. Sasuke looked around as Naruko ran from door to door like a child, eager to show him everything. The first room was a large bathroom, more than big enough for 2. Naruko explained that her old apartment had been small and that she had cried when her grandmother had given this place to her. Sasuke teased that she had never cared about decorations and that she had kept everything messy. Naruko laughed and dismissed it as a detail. Sasuke then went to the only room Naruko had not shown him. She stood in his way, stubborn and unyielding. Sasuke surprised her with a sudden, brief gesture that left her still, allowing him to slip past and open the door. When he stepped inside, his expression hardened and a vein stood out at his temple as he asked how she could keep this place in such disarray. Naruko gave a nervous laugh and blamed old habits. Sasuke sighed and said she had not changed since she was 12. Naruko joked about an involuntary change in gender and pretended it was insignificant. Sasuke told her he had not meant that. Naruko said it was time to eat, and Sasuke begged that it not be ramen. Naruko promised it would not be and added that Shizune had taught her how to cook. After a short while, Naruko served dinner. The meal tasted good, and Sasuke was surprised, which Naruko noticed and teased him about his lack of confidence. After dinner they talked for a while until Sasuke noticed the time and said it was time for him to leave. Naruko asked where he would go. Sasuke answered with sarcasm, saying he would go back to a place confined for him and watch 24 hours a day by the Anbu. Naruko protested that he lived here now. Sasuke was surprised and said she had not told him. Naruko explained it was part of the arrangement. When Sasuke asked what arrangement, Naruko laid out the rules. Naruko said Sasuke would have to wear a bandage or patch over his Rinnegan sealed with a special mark. She explained that only the Hokage, the advisors, Shikamaru, Kakashi, Kurama, and she herself knew how to remove it. Sasuke grunted, and Naruko warned him not to complain, hinting that it would be worse otherwise. Sasuke agreed to wear it. Naruko said she had to keep watch over him, which was why he would live with her and why she could not leave him alone. Sasuke accepted living with her but warned he would not tolerate her habits. Naruko pouted but complied. She continued explaining that he could not use his Sharingan freely. If she was absent, an ANBU operative would be assigned to watch him, and he could not leave the village. Unless she did. Sasuke grumbled at the idea of being treated like a charge, and Naruko laughed that she would be the one protecting him, since people from other villages might try to attack and she would have to defend him. Sasuke insisted he could defend himself. Naruko apologized for the delay in coming, saying she was sorry it had taken her 5 years. Sasuke replied that she had done what she could and had kept her promise. He added that, in any case, he deserved to have been in prison. Naruko told him not to say that. Because it was late and the arrangement required them not to separate, they had to sleep in the same room that night. The next morning, Sasuke woke up when Naruko's arms struck his face. She had claimed most of the bed. He tried to tidy her, but she refused to wake, asking for 5 more minutes. He adjusted her top and wrapped her with the blanket to let her sleep a little longer, then cleaned the apartment and prepared breakfast. After half an hour had passed, he went to wake her again. Naruko lay hugging a pillow. Sasuke called for Naruko to wake up. Naruko pretended not to know what waking was. Sasuke, fed up, pulled her from the bed, causing her to fall to the floor. He then dragged her to the table and made sure she ate breakfast. Later, Naruko told Sasuke she planned to visit Sakura at the prison that day. Sasuke refused to go with her. Naruko argued that he needed to be under her watch. Sasuke suggested he could be watched without leaving and that she should stay behind. Naruko insisted that if he went with her, perhaps Sakura would finally say something. Sasuke said it would be pointless. He claimed he did not deserve her attention. Naruko countered that Sakura was her friend. Sasuke asked rhetorically whether Sakura had been expected to save Naruko or to let her die, and accused Sakura of always treating Naruko poorly while Naruko did nothing. A heated question broke the tense air. Naruko insisted that she did not like Sakura and that her concern was only that Sakura would not be left alone. Sasuke replied that Sakura deserved what had happened to her. Naruko argued that Sakura never saw her parents, never left her cell, did not receive visitors, and had lost her friends because of her betrayal. Sasuke said those were the consequences of her actions and that he had suffered similarly. They were lucky to have Naruko watching over them. Naruko then ordered Sasuke to go with her and help make Sakura speak. Before Sasuke could refuse again, Naruko took advantage of his lowered guard and bound his arms and legs. She placed the seal on his eye to blindfold him. Sasuke struggled and called her a fool, but Naruko refused to let him go and said she would use force if he would not cooperate. Civilians watched in stunned silence but did not intervene, because they knew the 5th Hokage monitored him constantly and sometimes Umbu did as well. Most disagreed with her tactics but chose not to confront the Hokage. They trusted that, with the hero of the ninja world watching, everything would be under control. A pink-haired woman sat staring into nothing when the door to her cell suddenly slammed open and 2 people entered. Naruko closed the door and guided the resigned Sasuke into the cell. Sakura startled at his presence. Naruko pointed out that Sakura had finally spoken, but Sasuke, irritated, dismissed it as only her saying his name. Naruko tried to calm him and asked Sakura how she had been, but Sakura remained silent. Sasuke, growing impatient, raised his hand as if to form a charge technique, but Naruko lowered his arm to stop him. Naruko reminded Sakura that 5 years had passed. The mention of the time in confinement surprised Sakura, yet she stayed silent. Naruko asked if Sakura hated her so much. Sakura looked away as if to deny it, but held herself back, perhaps hoping the visits would stop. A guard then called Naruko away, saying Kakashi wanted to speak with her, and she left, leaving Sasuke and Sakura alone. Sasuke told Sakura that the more she ignored Naruto, the more she hurt him. He suggested that her plan was to stop visiting so Naruto would stop suffering, but Sakura insisted that silence was best. Sasuke asked why she would still speak to him and not to Naruto, and accused her of letting her love become an unhealthy obsession that had hurt Naruto countless times. When Sakura could not answer, Sasuke demanded why she would not say anything. He stepped closer, gripped her clothing, and leveled an intense, unwavering stare at her, making clear how hurtful her silence was. He shouted that by ignoring Naruto she continued to make him feel like a failure, and that this gnawed at him day after day. Sakura could only listen and cry, frightened and unable to find words. Sakura finally admitted that her mistake had been falling in love with Sasuke and that her feelings had led to her actions. She said she regretted everything and that when she looked at Naruto she wanted to kneel and beg forgiveness. Sasuke asked why she did not do that. Sakura replied that Naruto would simply say everything was fine and would not blame her, but she wanted him to stay away because she believed she only made him suffer. Sasuke asked if it was so difficult to speak to him, and Sakura explained that if she did, Naruto would visit more and thus suffer more. Sasuke, sitting back down, confessed that he, too, felt the weight of the situation. He asked if she thought Naruto still scolded him for leaving the village and for what happened 5 years ago. Sakura looked confused. Sasuke said that he knew Naruto was still upset with Sakura in his own way, but that Naruto still cared for her and did not want her to suffer or be alone, just as Naruto had been lonely as a child. He urged Sakura to speak to Naruto if she wanted to make him happy. Sakura fell silent again. Naruko returned with her usual calm smile and informed Sasuke that they had to leave for a mission to the Sand Village, and that he would have to come along. Sasuke replied that it was about time. Before they left, Naruko fixed Sakura with a piercing look that made her tense. Naruko added that Kakashi had given permission for another visit the next day and that she would see Sakura then. Sakura smiled at the promise and said she would be waiting. Naruko, surprised by the sudden warmth after so many years of silence, embraced Sakura and was hugged in return. Sakura told Naruko that she did not hate her after all, apologized sincerely for her actions, and vowed to try to make amends. Naruko thanked Sakura for speaking, and said it made her very happy. Sakura thanked Naruko for not abandoning her. Naruko separated and left with Sasuke, who smiled faintly at the gentle exchange between the two women. 7 months earlier, Sasuke had casually called out to Naruko. Naruko had been taken aback. Sasuke then remarked that he disliked her surname. Naruko responded by asking if the name Uchiha would be any better. Naruko used her usual catchphrase, which translated to believe it. Sasuke agreed that the idea would suit her better. Naruko reacted with confusion and chased the dark-haired Uchiha to demand an explanation as he walked satisfied toward his room. At present, Sakura observed that it sounded very like Sasuke. Kurama commented that even he had understood it immediately. Naruko snapped at the fox to be quiet. Sakura asked whom she was addressing, and Naruko replied that she was talking to the lazy fox who did nothing but sleep. A red chakra began to emanate from the Uzumaki's abdomen and materialized into a small 9-tailed fox. Kurama introduced himself. Sakura greeted him nervously and then wondered if Naruko and Sasuke were a couple now. Naruko confirmed that they had been together for 6 months. Sakura asked incredulously if it had taken a month to understand what he meant. Naruko looked away embarrassed, and then heard a chuckle. She turned angrier and even more embarrassed. Naruko told the fox to stop laughing. Kurama teased her gently about being foolish, and Naruko pouted and demanded silence. Sakura asked where Sasuke was, thinking the pair should always be together. Naruko explained that he was outside receiving a briefing from Kakashi, their teacher, about their current mission. Sakura asked if they were going to visit the Kazekage. Naruko confirmed that they were, and added that Shikamaru had asked to go with them. Sakura mentioned that she had been told Shikamaru and Temari were growing close. Naruko recounted that she had asked them if they were a couple and that Temari had almost attacked her for asking, but their expressions had seemed to indicate yes. Sakura scolded Naruko for being indiscreet about such things. Naruko defended herself, and Sakura sighed before asking how everyone else was doing. Naruko revealed that Ino was PR'd. Sakura reacted with surprise and asked if Ino had told Sai. Naruko thought not. She had almost told him once, but Ino had arrived and taken her away. Sakura advised Naruko to be more delicate, since matters like that were not to be taken lightly. A mischievous idea then crossed Sakura's mind, and she looked at the Uzumaki with a teasing expression. Sakura prodded what Naruko and Sasuke were waiting for to help restore the Uchiha clan, hinting at building a future together. Naruko nearly fell out of her chair at the remark, and Kurama made a dismissive snort. Naruko stammered in protest. Sakura laughed and said that, knowing Sasuke, it was surprising they had not already attempted such things. At that moment the Uchiha entered and Naruko was startled. Sasuke announced that it was time to leave. Naruko replied that she was ready and waved goodbye to Sakura. The small fox returned into the seal on Naruko's belly and fell asleep. Sakura wished them well, urging them to consider their future together, then winked and laughed as Naruko blushed before the door closed. Sakura still harbored feelings for Sasuke, but she resolved not to let those feelings make her act foolish again. She decided to forget and to support her friend so that Naruko could be happy with the Uchiha and they could build a life together, even if Sakura believed she would not have that herself. She accepted responsibility for her own choices. Sasuke asked what they had been talking about. Naruko blushed and insisted it was nothing. She took Sasuke's wrist and they hurried toward the entrance before he could press the issue. Naruko thought she might mention the matter to Sasuke on the return trip. Sasuke called after her when she paused, and Naruko answered that she was coming, then asked Shikamaru if he was ready to see Temari. Shikamaru blushed and denied intending to visit her, calling Temari a troublesome woman and complaining about the bother. The rest of the journey passed with Naruko teasing Shikamaru about his pineapple-style hair, while Sasuke walked behind them, occasionally scanning the surroundings with his Sharingan, the special eye technique, to check for hidden threats and to practice defensive maneuvers. Naruko reassured Sasuke that she would protect him if anyone attacked, insisting she would take care of him. Sasuke offered a faint, barely visible smile that was obvious to Naruko, and he allowed her confidence to stand.